Okay, welcome back to Up Front. This episode is made possible by the MGD department here at Front Range Community College, Westminster. I'm your host, Isabel.
And I'm your co-host, Alex.
And today we have a very special episode in store for you guys. We're joined by our fellow student, FRCC student, Isabella Osborne. She is our Halloween writing contest winner that was held back in October. Isabella submitted a story called Butterfly Collector, which we have published on our website. It captivated our entire staff, hence she came out on top. Thanks for being here today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Of course, your story was one of our favorites. Can you tell us about your story?
Yeah, so the story essentially follows a character named Rose, and she's in quite the predicament. There's been this entity that's been essentially chipping away at her soul, which is some pretty intense stuff. And she's been having a lot of trouble in her personal life. She's been trying to go to psychiatrists, she's been trying to go out to these people, trying to get them to believe her, but everyone just kind of brushes it off and says that she's crazy, she must have anxiety, she must be bipolar, or something. And nobody really listens to her, and nobody believes her.
What would you classify your piece as? Would you maybe classify it as a psychological thriller? What is?
At certain times, I guess it's like supernatural, but at the same time, I was trying to go for almost a borderline medical horror, I guess, because there's the aspect of mental health, there's the aspects of the doctors being there and not believing her. Somewhere in between supernatural, psychological thriller, and also medical horror, somewhere in there.
Yeah, super fitting theme for Halloween, and it honestly left us kind of wanting a little more with that last line. Mm-hmm. What were you thinking towards the end of the story? Like, is it something that you would continue?
Yeah, I've actually thought about maybe making this into a bit of a novella, or expanding upon this idea, writing songs about it maybe, or something along those lines. It's a really weird piece to think about because I really like it as a short story, but I can definitely see it as being something more.
So what would you consider your writing style to be? Is there something that you're particularly drawn to? I know that this was a Halloween themed writing contest, but is there a particular type? You told me about your songwriting and all of that. What's your writing style like?
I'm kind of all over the place in terms of writing. I'm the lead singer of a rock band called Ipecac, and I joined the band back in February of 2020, and I've been writing songs with the band for these past 4 years. So I have that going on. Simultaneously, I'm also trying to write a novel, and it's kind of a dystopian type of thing going on there. Similar to this in the sense that it has some medical aspects, but very different in terms of kind of what I'm going for there. And then I'm also really drawn to horror. I've always been drawn to horror. I love horror writing so much. And I actually haven't had the chance to do a lot of it. This is the first contest that I've really submitted a piece to, and followed through with that and gotten something. So awesome. I'm really proud of this, and I'm really happy that this came about.
Were you surprised to see yourself win this, or did you think that the piece you wrote was, good enough on part of winning?
When going into this contest, I had a feeling that I need to do this. I've talked about this in other stuff and other projects, but I have this feeling that comes around every once in a while. And you could call it fate, you could call it intuition, you could call it just like some hippy-dippy stuff, right?
Yeah. But
it's really this feeling that comes around, and it tells me things. It tells me like, hey, this is going to be successful, or hey, like you should do this. And so with this contest, I saw the poster on the wall at Front Range, and I thought to myself, there's something about that. I gotta do that. I gotta submit a piece. And I wasn't trying to keep my hopes up too much. I didn't want to be, cocky about it and get disappointed. So I just was like, well, if it happens, it happens. So I was a little bit surprised. I was thrilled, obviously, but I was a little bit surprised. But then there was that feeling that was like, you're in the right place. You got the right thing going. So
Yeah.
that was really comforting.
And I mean, with a piece like this that was so good, did you have any like inspiration? Like, was there something that kind of, you know, drew you towards writing it in this kind of style?
I have read a lot of Stephen King. Love Stephen King, iconic. And I really, in writing this piece, I asked myself, what am I scared of? What am I like fearful of? And what would other people be fearful of that I could write about? That's what I really looked into. And kind of what I settled on was this idea of losing control. And that's really what kind of started the piece, was finding, okay, what topic am I going to focus on? What fear am I going to focus on? And how can I write that? So I really looked into sleep paralysis as a medium for that, of a lack of control, because with sleep paralysis, you don't have control. There's stuff that's happening, there's hallucinations and whatever else, and you don't have control of whatever happens. You can't wake up, you can't move, so I used that as kind of an inspiration for the piece.
I mean, it sounds like a good structure to it too, you know?
Yeah, I mean, with such short notice, you know, seeing the poster and coming up with such a great story, like, you obviously have a talent
Thank you so
for
much.
writing.
All right, so, I mean, once again, like we said, this was a great story, and I enjoyed reading it, and I kind of wanted to share with you a few pieces that I liked. I know we kind of talked about the end, and the end, you know, it really did get me, because that sentence where it's okay, there, now that wasn't so bad, was it? You know, it's really something that kind of grabs you. But I think some of my favorite pieces was more in the beginning, and you know, the two more doctors came over to, you know, help pin me down, and then, you know, the sleep had sent me off. You know, the doctor explained that they were going to sedate me just slightly so I wouldn't be able to sleep without being in danger. You know, it's kind of that feeling I get where it's like,
Yeah, the suspense.
yeah, it's like kind
Yeah.
of building up, but the more of, you know, I would be able to sleep without being in danger. I really did like that part.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the rest was, you know, really great for me. Did you have a favorite?
I think for me, it was kind of like the disturbing imagery, you know, of them like manipulating, and I think they were manipulating her body and evoking like a sense of horror, but also the fact that the people that she was reaching out to for help weren't helping.
Yeah.
That for sure. It reminds me of that one movie with the guy that has like all the different personalities split.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of the vibe that I got while I was reading it. It was like people don't really know what's really going on.
Yeah.
It's hard when you reach out for help, especially in a medical setting, and nobody believes you. And that's another thing that I really wanted to incorporate into this piece, because that's something that I'm passionate about, is raising awareness to that, of like, hey, sometimes people with chronic conditions, or in women's health, this happens a lot also, where they have these conditions and nobody believes them. They don't do the right test. They just assume that it's this or it's that. So that's another aspect that I wanted to incorporate, and I'm really glad that you noticed that.
Yeah, because you're right. You know, a lot of people do go years with, you know, either mistreated diagnoses or just undiagnosed in general. And especially when it comes to mental health, it seems like people use that as an excuse for, you know, things nowadays, like, oh, you must be, you know, whatever, fill in the blank, and they dismiss you. Tying that into this horror story really just, you know, fits the theme for Halloween.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely you know, a piece that really had me on the edge of my chair. You know, I kind of like that when it comes to Halloween. You know, I'm a guy that, you know, I like to read, you know, the scary stories. And, you know, I do enjoy watching a good scary film from here and now, but I think with this piece itself, it really did.
As a kid, did you ever read those scary story the books? God, I wish I remembered what they were called.
The Goosebumps?
Yeah, the Goosebumps.
Yeah,
Goosebumps,
Yeah.
I read tons of Goosebumps books. I loved reading, still do. And yeah, I read Goosebumps. I think Slappy the Dummy is probably what, like the Slappy series with that. They had like 1, 2, and 3, I think. Maybe there was a 4th one. I think those were my favorites.
I know
yeah.
the Goosebumps, they came out with one where it was like the haunted house, and I remember reading that book, and it was,
Yeah.
that one was kind of on the edge crazy.
For me, I think it was the haunted stories. I'm not sure, but I remember this one story vividly, and it was like somebody finding a thumb, and it was like buried in the dirt, and somehow the thumb like
yeah.
shows up on their dinner plate every night. Definitely enjoy the whole Halloween theme. I think that's one of my favorite seasons of the year, to be honest with you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for
Well, you
sure.
said you're super into it, right? And
Oh
you're
yeah.
big-
No,
yeah.
I love horror and I love Halloween also. Halloween's like my Christmas a little bit. Obviously Christmas is also my Christmas, but
Yeah.
Halloween's kind of like a second Christmas. It's definitely on the same level of excitement and thrill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool. Did you guys dress up for Halloween?
Absolutely.
I
You
wear
know
I
it.
wear a mask occasionally when I hand out the candy, just to kind of fit the theme of it. But
Yeah.
I used to love dressing up as a kid. I was either like an army guy, or I tried to be a ninja or some kind of superhero. So
Yeah. What was your
My costume this past year, my costume was based off of one of the covers of the band My Chemical Romance. So it was the 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge cover. So I dressed up as like the girl on that cover
Nice.
for the cover art. And yeah, that was super fun. Then I went and watched the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. So
classic.
that's how I spent my Halloween, was super nerdy, but I mean, it was rad. It was awesome. So
Yeah, that sounds awesome. That was one of my favorite bands when I was in high school.
yeah,
Yeah, seriously.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like band life is like the cool life. You talked about your band, correct me if I'm wrong, Ipecac.
you got it right. You got the pronunciation right. Yeah.
So how did that come to be, and how does that tie into you as a writer?
Well, like I said, I joined the band in February of 2020. They were looking for a singer, and I auditioned and got the part. And there was that same feeling that I talked about before, that kind of intuition, that fate, and it was the strongest that it's ever been, is that moment right there before I auditioned. And it's been a really amazing experience. We've done so many shows, and it's really developed my songwriting as an artist. Before, I had written, a couple of songs here and there, just like on my little guitar when I was like 6 or something, right?
Yeah.
I'd written a couple of songs like that, but nothing big. So a lot of the songs that I write for Ipecac, similar to this, I try to lay out a story. I try to lay out a theme. I try to lay out, okay, what am I writing about? And it just kind of develops and blossoms from there. That's kind of how this ties into that, is just in the sense that I try to create stories when I write songs. Additionally, some of my writing pieces that I'm working on, or some that I've previously done, I've based songs off of those. So
Nice.
they kind of are very much intertwined in that way.
Awesome. Are you involved in the writing community here at Front Range? Are you part of like a writing club or anything like that?
I'm a part of a writers collective that's based at BUMC, Brimfield United Methodist Church.
Awesome.
It's been really awesome. Lots of great people there, lots of amazing experiences. And I've just kind of been a part of that club for the most part. It's been weird because I have a lot of interests. I have a lot of things that I do. And so finding time to write has been really difficult. As a result, I've kind of started doing writing live streams on my social media to try to get myself consistently to write, just because there's times where I don't want to commit to a club or I can't. So the writing live streams have been a really great way that I've been able to write consistently and also connect with other writers online.
Tell us more about that. How does it work? You're very active on social media, right? Especially Instagram.
Yeah.
How do you go about sharing your artistic side with your audience? Are you live streaming on Twitch? Are you live streaming on?
So as of right now, I'm currently trying to get it so that I can stream mainly on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube simultaneously. I do want to expand to Twitch, most certainly, but it's just kind of in development at the moment. There's not a lot of traction as much as I'd like. So I'm continuously trying to make those live streams better, you know, adding music in the back to make it fun for people and just kind of be a space where people can come around and they could write their own stuff while I'm live, or they could do homework while I'm live, you know, kind of a, almost like a little community, a little room online.
So like a safe space community where
Yeah.
everyone can kind of work together. And
Yeah, absolutely. They can interact with chat, or they could just do their own writing stuff if that's what they want to do.
Yeah, those are a big thing nowadays, like a study with me or
Yeah,
hang
exactly.
with me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
that's what I'm trying to go for. You got
Yeah.
it. You got it.
with Twitch, you know, I feel like as long as you're consistent with it, you can grow a pretty big audience. I've seen some stuff like the lo-fi stuff, but writing for sure, people have busy schedules, especially you. You're part of a band. You've got a job, a side job too, and with school, your environmental sciences, right? Major.
Yeah, I'm planning on majoring in environmental science, hopefully with also eventually majoring in some other stuff, but environmental science and business are the two that I'm looking at to major in.
Awesome. What was the inspiration behind that? Was that just like
I like plants.
Well,
Awesome.
yeah,
I like plants, but yeah, nature is pretty cool. I really like science, and you know, women in STEM, like that's an awesome opportunity for a lot of people
Yes.
to kind of find their way in this world. I think that there's a really big community of female scientists and femme-identifying scientists that's really awesome. So,
do you have like a favorite plant?
a favorite plant, probably apple trees.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love trees. I love plants. I
Yeah,
love all those
makes sense.
sorts of things. So,
I like trees, especially during the winter time with all the snow on it, or
oh, that's
either
great.
in the fall when the leaves get a really nice color.
For sure.
It's nice to see
Yeah, I have an alternative account called Novel Guitar Child, where I've been posting a lot about plants and nature and kind of
Awesome.
those sorts of things, and also looking at local artists who, you know, kind of put out their songs, and I've put those onto a playlist for people to listen to and to just kind of find their new favorite song. I just started the playlist for 2024, so that's
Nice.
another thing that I'm doing.
So
Yeah.
I mean, it all sounds good because you just have a lot of eggs in different baskets, and
Yeah.
it's all like working and coming together. So that's really
Yeah.
cool.
I mean, you're a great talent. You know, we're super excited that you submitted your story to us and that you were willing to share it with us. When we saw it, like I said, it was our favorite, and it was pretty cool. Yeah. Actually, April is Poetry Month. I'm not sure if you knew of that or not. We're hosting an April poetry contest. It might be an April writing contest, we're not sure yet, but April poetry contest. And we wanted to ask you if you had any tips for people that were looking to participate in April as a submitting contestant.
Yeah, I think that one thing that as writers you should definitely do is be true to yourself, find what inspires you, and you'll be able to just let the words flow out of you. I know that for me it's hard to find inspiration sometimes, so just finding what you like and your writing style and your voice is a really, really important part of just writing an amazing piece. And also I'd say with writing contests, I think it's really great to go outside your comfort zone as well. Connect with other writers, connect with other artists, and see what you can learn from them and see if you can go outside that comfort zone.
You guys actually know each other, right?
Kind of. I mean, like, I saw you in the hallways definitely
Yeah,
at
for
Broomfield
sure.
High School.
Yeah.
Were you in choir? I can't remember.
I was, yeah.
You were in choir.
I did choir. It was my first like So I did it for freshman and sophomore, and I was going to continue my junior, and then COVID happened.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit odd because before COVID, we were actually struggling to get students to sign up for choir. And our teacher, Bizarro at the time, he was really trying to push, he was like, the people that are in the class, I want you to try to stay, we had a nice group. So the people in our class, they definitely was going to, carry it on. But COVID kind of hit, and then it really kind of crushed it all.
Yeah.
But it was really fun, doing choir when it was, not COVID era. So,
Yeah. I definitely owe a lot to the arts at Broomfield High School. Definitely the theater department was absolutely amazing. I had a great experience there. And even with choir, I mean, I did choir freshman year and then COVID hit. So I was kind of in the same boat as you where I was going to do it for all of high school, but after that freshman year, after COVID, like it just didn't work out, because the next year when we were, for when we were picking classes for sophomore year, for me, I was like, well, we're still in COVID. We're not going to be able to do anything in choir. So I just didn't sign up for that, which was really unfortunate.
Yeah, I think, doing the online class for that was kind of funny because he didn't really make us sing online.
No.
We weren't standing up in our bedrooms and trying to sing, but it was more of just he had it where you come in and you kind of, talk about how your week's been going, and it was like a mental check. So that's why I thought he was a cool teacher in my heart. And some of the stories he used to share were pretty funny too.
Yeah,
so,
the current choir teacher has been doing a really great job. I cannot remember her name, but shout out to her at Broomfield High School. The choir department there, I have a lot of friends who are in choir, or people that I know who are in choir nowadays. So definitely shout out to Broomfield High School.
Yeah, for sure.
And especially the theater department and choir department. They rock.
I still follow the choir on Instagram, so I'm always seeing the posts that they do, and I see the students getting the recognition too, so it's really cool to see that happen. So
I also am following them in theater. Yeah,
so.
It's really great.
Nice. I went to Westminster, so
Yeah.
like Academy. Also, I did sports when I was in high school.
Yeah.
Sports are really important too, though.
Yeah, they really are. Like, they helped keep me on track, and it was cool.
I mean, all of this is just a good way to, build friendships throughout high school and kind of make lasting friendships. And,
I met a lot of my mentors in high school.
Exactly.
Especially like going into college and everything else has been really nice.
Yeah. How would people reach out to you or connect with you or your band?
Yeah, so for me personally, I'm on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook at is.osborne. That's spelled IZZ.osborne. I'm also on YouTube at Isabella Osborne. And I don't currently have a website, but that's in development. So when that comes out, I will definitely let you know. And to check out the band, you can find the band at Ipecac Rocks on all social platforms. You can also find our website at ipecacrocks.com. We actually have a couple of shows coming up.
Is that happening here in Denver?
Yeah, that's happening here in Colorado, in Denver, with the Femme Underground on March 22nd.
Check them out.
All right, so it's been a fun time having Isabella on the podcast. Thank you again for coming. And again, I want to thank the viewers for tuning in. This is such a special episode from the Halloween contest that we did. And again, make sure to always be on the lookout, because we will be doing other contests as well, and we do have one coming up in April. So again, I also want to give a huge shout out to the MGD studio. I want to thank everyone for helping out behind the scenes and being able to allow us to host the podcast here in the studio. So make sure to check out our website linked below, and also follow us on our social media. I'm the co-host Alex.
And I'm your host Isabel.
And
Thanks
that's
for tuning
it. Thank
in.
you.
See you next time.
Yep.